Hi, my name is Anne. Thank you for coming to my channel. This weekend we are in Williamsburg, Virginia, specifically Colonial Williamsburg. So I'll show you some of the things you can see here. This is the courthouse right behind me that we're going to go into right now.
Up here to hear cases, but they don't have to be lawyers. But they do have to follow what the laws are that are passed by the legislative branch down the road.
It is pouring rain out, so we decided to stop and get some lunch at this seafood place. It's supposed to rain like this all day, which isn't fun, but we'll make the best of it. I had salmon, Alex had shrimp 2 ways, and then we had dessert, which was so good we ended up coming back here the next day after lunch somewhere else just to have dessert again. There's one main road going through Colonial Williamsburg called Duke of Gloucester Street, and on both sides of the road you have old buildings that you can take tours of. And what you do is you look for the ones that have a flag outside of them. That's how you know it's open. Because it's February, there's not a whole lot that's open, but there's still quite a bit. So we'll continue walking.
So where breeches are the fashionable style for pants for men in the 18th century, they can be made of many different materials, and leather happens to be such a popular one that.
And I put leather on this boat here this morning. So it'll probably be tomorrow before I can do anything else with it. It just takes that long for it to dry. Although in the summertime it takes 2 or 3 days. It's the worst of all possible.
We went back to the apartment that we're staying in to rest for a little while, and now we're heading to one of several restaurants that's on the property, although I think the one we're going to might be the only one that's open this time of year, called King's Arms Tavern. And what they serve at these places is old-timey colonial kind of food, so hopefully it'll be a really great dinner. Jumping in here because I realized I didn't have a good transition from when we left Colonial Williamsburg and went to Norfolk. So we spent a total of 2.5 days in Colonial Williamsburg and then went back to Norfolk. We had a very early flight the day we left, so we stayed at an airport hoteler last night. And while we were in Norfolk, we went over to the USS Wisconsin, which is a battleship that goes back to World War II. If I remember correctly, it was in World War II, Vietnam, and the Gulf War, so it's seen a lot of action. But now it is docked next to a naval museum, and so the scenes you're going to see next are from that ship.
Electronically transmitted to the ship. The operators would download that mission, put it into the missile, and then once the missile was fired, it would utilize that pre-programmed mission to find its target.
Visiting the USS Wisconsin costs $12 right now to get in because the museum is closed. They had a small museum that was available, so I'm not sure how much it'll be once everything's open back up again. I think next month. $28 to get in after everything is all renovated, but absolutely worth it. If you're in Norfolk, you have to stop here, especially if you're from Wisconsin, because you feel like you're at home. Back again, just to summarize the entire trip. As I mentioned, we spent 2.5 days in Williamsburg and 1 day, half a day basically in Norfolk. We flew in and out of Norfolk and took an Uber to Williamsburg and back. It's about 50 minutes or so, and I think the Uber costs about $65 each way, which is expensive, but less expensive than renting a car, which we didn't want to do. So we were there in February. And there's pros and cons to any time you travel, but for us, being there in February was really nice because it wasn't crowded. One thing my husband really liked is when we went into the trades buildings, we were able to really talk to the people who were working there one-on-one and not have to worry about anybody else or being crowded in those buildings because they're pretty small. So being there at this time of year was great for that. The weather was decent. It can get very hot in the summer in Williamsburg, but because again, it's February, there were a lot of places that weren't open. So there were some places we didn't get to see, but we have been there before, so that wasn't a big deal. And there's not as much going on program-wise. In the summer, there's lots of different activities and things that you can do besides going in the buildings. The final thing that was a little bit disappointing was that there was only one restaurant that was open in the historic village. We did go there for dinner. You saw clips from that. It was wonderful. We would have liked to have done that more, but the local food is great too. We had some great meals, even just outside of the historic area. So it worked out well for us. If you've never been to Williamsburg before, you're going with kids, going in the summer would definitely be the better choice because everything would be open, more going on. You just would have to deal with crowds a little bit more. I also really recommend touring the USS Wisconsin. That was the only thing that we did in Norfolk. We didn't tour anything else. We had a 5:30 a.m. flight the next day, so we were in bed pretty early. So we had a great weekend away. Definitely recommend taking those long weekends when you get the chance. Hopefully this will encourage you to go to Williamsburg someday if you haven't been there. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one.